Coming up tonight on YCN News, more becomes clear as to how the closure of Vermont Yankee will affect the state. A man convicted in 1991 for the murder of a Vermont woman has died in prison. And the investigation continues on the homicide of David Wheelock and Keene last week. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Tuesday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. The path is becoming clear as to how the closure of Vermont Yankee will affect the state. Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin, State Attorney General William Sorrell, and Entergy President Bill Moll have come to several agreements. Moll leads Entergy Wholesale Commodities. Entergy is the Louisiana-based company that owns Vermont Yankee. Entergy will provide $10 million in economic development for Windham County. Another $5 million will go to the state for 2015. This will help offset the loss of tax revenue and commerce to the area. At least 600 jobs at Vermont Yankee will be lost when the plant ceases operating when next year ends. Entergy will oversee the plant's decommissioning in a timely and safe manner. About $5.2 million from Entergy to the state will help the area turn to a clean energy source. The site, overlooking a river in Vernon, Vermont, will be restored. Entergy will set aside $25 million for this land and area restoration, a prepared statement from Shumlin's office notes. The state will drop any ongoing legal action between it and Entergy regarding Vermont Yankee's closure. A man convicted in the 1991 murder of a Vermont woman has died in prison of natural causes, state police say. 67-year-old Howard Godfrey was found dead in his cell around 3 a.m. today. Godfrey was serving a life sentence without parole for the murder of Patricia Scoville. Scoville was 28 when she died. It took 17 years to solve her murder. An autopsy will be conducted on Godfrey's body, state police report. Police say that Godfrey's death appears to be due to natural causes. No signs of foul play were discovered when the state police criminal investigators went this morning to the Southern State Correctional Facility in Springfield, Vermont. Per protocol, the autopsy will be conducted by the state medical examiner. Results of the autopsy and pending investigation will determine any further action. Scoville's death changed how Vermont pursues criminal investigations, recount state police in a statement today. For years after their daughter's murder, David and Ann Scoville lobbied Vermont legislators to create the state's first DNA database. In 1998, the CODIS system was created. CODIS stands for a Combined DNA Index System. This index system is an FBI-funded computer system that allows investigators to search DNA records. In 2008, a match confirmed Godfrey had murdered Patricia Scoville. The DNA sample taken from Godfrey was part of new state requirements involving DNA samples from defendants. Nationally, as of November 2013, CODIS has helped investigators in nearly 220,000 cases. Since Vermont began using CODIS in the late 1990s, 175 people have been arrested on criminal charges. After the break, we'll hear about the investigation on the homicide of David Wheelock, and we'll conclude our series on fire safety tips.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. New Hampshire Assistant Attorney General Benjamin Agati says he believes more people may have information about the murder of David Wheelock. Wheelock, in his late 40s, died from multiple gunshot wounds on Saturday, state police report. His death is being ruled as a homicide. Some tips regarding Wheelock's death have come into the Attorney General's office, Agati said today in a phone interview. We believe there are more tips out there, Agati said. Wheelock lived at 170 Pearl Street. Anyone who traveled on Pearl Street between 9 and 9:30 p.m. on Saturday night are asked to call Keene Police at 603-357-9820. Tips can be left anonymously. Today, we conclude our series on fire safety tips. Carbon monoxide poisoning can happen in winter with more people relying on space heaters to keep warm. The perils of carbon monoxide remain with today's report that in a northern Vermont town, a man died of CO poisoning. Let's learn more about staying safe during the winter.
During the holiday season, there's certainly a lot of cooking that's going on. When you're preparing your meals during the holiday season, making sure that you're staying alert and staying with the stove while things are being either broiled or being grilled on top. Don't walk away from the stove top. Making sure that any grease or anything is cleaned up on the stove prior to utilizing the cooking surface. Also making sure that you give 3 feet kids safe zone, we call it, to make sure that a child won't come up and grab a pot of boiling water and have it dump onto them, scalding them or burning them. But also making sure that you also set your timer so that will give you an alert when something is done. During the holiday season, we tend to see a lot more candles in use. Some of the things that we want to make sure that folks are doing is making sure that those candles are not left unattended, but also making sure that the candles are put into a very sturdy base, but also making sure that the candles are at least 12 inches away from any type of combustibles, and certainly making sure that they're sturdy so that if an animal or a child bumps into a particular piece of furniture or table, that they're not going to knock over and cause a fire. Making sure that the candles are obviously out when people leave their homes. And some of the best ways to do it is they're making candles now that are not a real true flame, but give the ability to have a candle flickering but not have the heating source there. One of the things that here at the Lebanon Fire Department that we like to put out to all the folks is that it's certainly very important to make sure that your fire hydrants are kept free and clear. So we call it kind of adopting a fire hydrant. So if you have a fire hydrant in front of your home or your place of where you're residing, take a few minutes, go out and clean around your fire hydrant. It certainly saves a lot of time should there be a fire. But also making sure that during this winter months with the amount of snow that we've gotten is sometimes folks with certain heating appliances are direct vented out the side, and the snow tends to build up and it covers that vent, and that can create you to have a carbon monoxide incident within your structure. So making sure that those vents are also kept free and clear of any type of obstruction or snow. And any time that you do have any type of smoke detector or a carbon monoxide detector that activates, please call 911 and make sure that the fire department responds, even as a safety assurance that there is no problem within your home. On behalf of the Lebanon Fire Department, we would like to wish you and your family a safe and happy holidays.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next 5 days, and he'll take a look at some local high school sports.
Thanks, Rose. It looks like we won't be having a white Christmas. Tomorrow will be sunny with a high of 20 degrees and lows in the teens. Thursday there will be snow with highs in the 30s and a low of 17 degrees. Friday will be cloudy with a high of 30 and lows around 15 degrees. Saturday and Sunday highs will be in the mid to upper 30s with lows in the teens and lows in the 20s. If you're in the Sunapee area this weekend, head over to the Sunapee Cove for a holiday tale, The Winter Cherries, performed by Odds Bodkin at 2 p.m. this Sunday. Last Friday, the Hanover Marauders stormed into the Lang Metcalf Gymnasium to take on their bitter rival, Lebanon, in the annual Weschler Cup game. Number 24, Nick Shepard, led the Raiders with 12 points, going 3 for 4 from three-point territory. Hanover's Rocco Linehan led all scorers with 19 points, going 8 for 9 from the field. Number 11, Colin Sow, shows some determination here as he flips for this loose ball. Sow ended up with 11 points in the game. Lebanon senior Matt Gradian makes the play of the game, dribbling behind his back and then laying the ball in. Lebanon holds on to win 51-45. 1-2 Hanover next hosts undefeated Plymouth on January 3rd, while 1-1 Lebanon travels to Souhegan also on January 3rd. Lebanon captain Colin Sow accepts the prized Wechsler Cup, which will reside one more year in Lebanon.
Thank you for joining us for this Tuesday edition of YCN News. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And you can watch our programs anytime online at www.ycnnow.com. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for YCN's Christmas special. I'm Rose Spillman for YCN, your local view. Good night.